Right, ladies and gents, let's get cracking on to the next part now, shall we? So if I bring this up on my screen. Pardon? Yeah, we'll come back to it. Okay? Right, everyone, if I can get you facing this way for me. So spin around your chairs for me. Ethan, spin around for me. Ethan. That's it, spin around for me. You can do it slowly if you want to. Excellent. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, so we've developed our user personas, and now we are going to do what is called user stories. Now, user stories, you could also argue, are the tasks or things that your software solution needs to have. But it's using a development framework called Agile, which tends to put the user at the heart of the product that you design, okay? Rather than, like I said earlier, where we dehumanize everything by thinking about the actual code and the functions, we're putting the person in the middle of it. So a user story is essentially a way of coming up with all of the functions and the tasks and the features that your solution needs to have to make your customers happy. So how you write them is in this format. So as this type of user, and you could use your personas for this. So you could say as Charles Dickens, as Georgie November, whatever it was, I want some feature so that I can do something. So I could say as a new customer who I want to register for an account so that I can monitor my health using the dashboard, or as a elderly person who is worried about their asthma, I want to be able to find information about the weather. So essentially you are saying listing the features, but you're doing it in a way that's centered around the needs of your users. But you'll also do this from the perspective of the people who are going to be building and running the thing. So for example, if you're going to have articles, which this asks for, like information about the weather, so you could say as a health professional, I want to be able to write an article so that people can find out about how to treat eczema, and then you'll then obviously now know that you've got to develop that section. So let's go through a couple of examples on here. So as you can see here, so it's how you do it is who you're building this bit for, what you're actually building, and then why you're doing it. So as and generally the format is as a user of some sort, I need to do this so that I can achieve this. Okay, and that's how you would expect it to be written. You could do it in a table or in a word, a sentence. It's not a problem. So here's an example here of 3 different ones. So obviously you can read those. As an internet banking customer, I want to see a rolling balance for my everyday accounts so that I know the balance of my account. Okay. And that would be a feature, is that when you build that, you would have that feature in there. So but rather than just writing it as a list of features, you build it around the needs of the user. So again here as an administrator, so this is from a user, as in a user's perspective, I want to create other administrators so that I can delegate tasks. So you'll probably have an admin panel built into it to allow users to add other users as admins. As a marketer, I want to create automatic email campaigns so I can keep them engaged. So obviously in this one, you would set up a system that allows you to set up marketing campaigns. It's just all about the features that it needs to involve from the perspective of the person using it. This is why you do go out and do your market research and find out what the user wants. They need to be short, okay? So that as a want to, so that is just 2 lines, okay? So they do not need to be long-winded things. It just needs to be really snappy features that your users need to have. I will share this with you in a minute so you can have a look at it. So they are going to be written from the perspective of the user and make the benefit really clear on them, okay? This is another key thing. It can be really easy to go off on a tangent and talk about multiple features. So try and keep it clear individual features as you go through. So if you think that user's got multiple things that they would benefit from, then do each one as a separate line, okay? Don't try and merge things together. We're not going to worry about that. But on here, so we've talked about, so as it says on here, why not just do a series of tasks instead of doing it as that user? It's purely down to, obviously, you're able to then get the best out of how the user's going to use your system. So those personas you've created, so my friend Lily, who is the elderly person, so I could say, as Lily Carpenter, I want to be able to find out what the weather's going to be today so that I can decide whether I'm going to go out or not. Yeah, so and that would form how you do it. we're not going to worry about that for now. We'll come back to this one. So let me show you an exemplar here, okay? So this person got a distinction on their version of this. But as you can see, they wrote a lot. So here are their user stories, okay? So you can see this is the customers section. And they've done theirs in a table. You don't have to put it in a table. So you can see here, as a customer with an asthma condition, I want to view advice on asthma so I can improve my asthma. I know it seems a bit like, oh, duh, but it's that sort of level we're at here, okay? Now, the acceptance criteria, you can embed in here, or you can do it as a separate thing. I personally would do it as a separate thing, but it's an option. So acceptance criteria is, how do you know that's met? What will the solution have to have enabled so that you have met that particular requirement? And in this case, the person will be able to go to the home page, click on an advice page, search for a filter, and then click on an article. So that's how we know that that's going to work. The user can actually access that. And you'll see here, brace yourself, it goes on a fair bit. So they've also gone down as a new customer, as a returning customer. So you want to cross-reference this to those requirements that you wrote in the business context. So you've obviously got about the weather dashboard, you've got the air quality, you've got the booking of a risk assessment. You've got to remember you're going to have new users, returning users, different age groups. So you could see that this could go on and on and on and on and on. So don't worry, obviously don't get yourself too tangled up in this. But essentially you'll want to cover new and returning customers in each of those areas. And then once you think you've covered all of the pathways, so it's got like want to register for an account, want to look at new articles, customer with disabilities. So there was an optional extra, if you remember, about adding accessibility features as an option on there. And then lastly, they have done it from, there's a lot on there, an employee's perspective. So this is the people who are going to be writing the article, the risk assessment person. So obviously they're booking these risk assessments. Someone needs to be able to go in and look at those risk assessments. Someone needs to set up those risk assessments. Then you've obviously got terms and conditions and policies. So they'll need somebody to do that. The login details, holding the information in the table. It's not really a words-based thing. But I would say in this case, obviously I will not ever tell you how to do things because I can't do that, but I feel like the tabular route is probably best for this because it just makes things really easy to see and it stops you from going off on a tangent and writing lots of stuff. Okay, so again, you can break it down into customers and employees, or you can just do it all in one table. That's not a problem. But in your Word document, you now essentially want to add the user story section, and then I would add in oh, lost my mouse again. Come back, mouse. There it is. Then I would insert, no I wouldn't, heading 2, and then I would do users of the software, and I'd insert a table and do it that way. But like I say, you can do each one by hand. So I'm just going to do here as a, and then I want to, so that I can, or just so that, to be fair. And then I've got an extra column on there. Don't need the extra column. Delete the column. So you might want to get some paper right now and start sort of mapping out those different options that you're going to do, or you can just do it haphazardly, or you could break it down into features. So if you want to focus firstly on the weather feature, you obviously at this point you probably should be coming up with an idea in your head about what your solution is going to offer. Okay, so for example, the weather feature, is that going to be available to everyone? Do you have to log in to be able to see that? So how is your solution going to work? The advice articles, are they going to be available to everyone, or do you have to log in to see them? Or could you add, are you going to add in a feature where if you log in, you can save articles? These are all the things that you want to start thinking about in your user stories, okay? So I could do this as Sophie Aldred, I want to get advice about how to manage asthma in young people. so that I can support my students with their asthma. Yeah. And then I could also do as Lily Carpenter, or as I might say, as an elderly user, I want to check what the weather is like where I live so that I can decide whether to go out or not. And you're just going to build up that table, okay, as you go down. So break it down into your users, and then you're going to break it down into the people who are going to be operating your software. Because although you're making the software, once you've made it and delivered it to them, the actual day-to-day maintenance of it is going to be down to health advice group. So they'll have people who are managing the risk assessments. They'll have people who will need to manage your users. You might want to set up some sort of email marketing campaign that sends out updates to users, and they can choose what they want to do. It's entirely up to you how you develop this. But the whole point of this is you get a real idea of what your users gonna want to use.
So
as well, use too many times.
On user stories, is it a good idea to do users, the intention of the user, and how the app applies it for the user?
Not yet. You could add on that acceptance criteria column that we talked about earlier, where you'll know how it's met. But you need to stick to that as a I want to, so that.
So how would you do it?
Like I've just done there.
Yeah,
So-
I can't see it, the board.
Sorry, I'll try and see if I can zoom in. Too tiny away.
No,
What is it doing?
it's going smaller.
Why don't we make it bigger? How weird. Okay, that's possessed. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in manually. It's alive.
Okay.
So you could name your user personas directly if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay. Or you could just keep it vague. So I've done elderly. I could put as a teenager. I want to get advice about what the air quality is like today.
To be honest, I don't think kids would know about that.
No, they probably won't, but this is what I mean. You've got to kind of decide who's going to be using this website and what features they're going to want to use. And then what you could add in is another column here. Let me insert a column to the right. You could add in here acceptance criteria. So what I could do here is the user goes to the home page, clicks on the articles link, searches for the article, reads the article that they want. So you could add that on here as well. So on this one, I can put the user goes to the home page. The user has location services enabled. The weather API picks up the location. The weather for the user's location is displayed. Throw that down.
I need this one. Oh, Jenny,
Yes, darling.
you are a gardener in my.
I'm a gardener.
Yeah.
Sweet. I hate gardening.
I think Georgie has the most sad one. Make me dying, and yet you're still concerned about your house. the last name is Bosman.
Son. I'm going to save this in the occupational specialism folder so you guys can access it. So I'm going to save as in here and call it Jenny's example. And pop it in the T level. And in here, there we go. Example proposal. So mine was there if you want to look at it. So I'll leave these on the board. Hopefully you can see those okay. There we go. So this method of developing the software and coming up with the ideas is known as Agile. Has anyone heard of Agile before?
No.
No. So Agile is a technique of the process of going about making software. There are loads of different research that has happened in the best way to organise a software project, and Agile is one of those ones that focuses more on the user rather than the actual product itself. So that's why we're going to use that methodology. So I'll leave you to do this till about past, and then at past, I know I'm rushing through this, and when you do this through, you'll probably spend a little bit more time. We're going to do one more thing about the user, and that is empathy maps.
What the hell's that?
All about the feelings.
Who cares? I want to make money.
Taskmaster. Hey, you have it down, my darling. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
you get a bit of understanding about what we've got to do for this?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Anything in particular that with access that you struggle with? Is it, are you happy with like doing the entity relationships, the forms, the queries, stuff like that? No. That's good. That's pretty good. Do like just message me if we get something right? Yeah. Brilliant. Right. Well, then good job. How's it going over here?
She's off the beach. Keeps going up. What's the conflict there?
Can I? Yeah. It's not what you've also got do you want that one?
No. That one's a bit tiny.
Yeah,
I don't know.
see if there's paid breaks. But usually like complex pictures.
What were you doing before it disappeared?
I don't know because it might have disappeared like right at the beginning. I just kind of looked up to see if my contents pages had updated, and then
You can undo it.
I'm going to do it. Let's see. It was a recent thing. Tracing your steps. It's a nice topic, isn't it? So all I want to do.
well, I just so contents page at the end.
It's page for it.
Or the author, you can click on
Just doesn't
That's what you mean, yeah. Let's no, I don't think there's that many in there. You just need to. It should be one. Of course I have. I can. Anyone want some paper? I'll go grab some from Jill's room then. Where's
Sleep a bit. Oh yeah.
Hello.
Oh. Yeah. How can I make it like yours? How can you do that?
But where it's under the other one.
Like under, but to be in.
It's the same thing.
That's what I did.
You can do that, so that should be heading to use the sword.
It's a heading number 2. Oh. No.
We got there. We got there. Uh,
Okay, so Georgie. Yeah. So this is what David Minster, coder, who's made as a personal trainer because he fails at everything at coding.
wow. Not that bad.
He's got laid off.
That doesn't mean he got fired.
He just got laid
All
Yeah.
budget fans. There's a lot of pressure for it.
Yeah, but like in my mind, not that.
Let's just hate David as well.
No, I like David.
Well, why are you saying he's got fired for being shit with COVID?
I don't like to lead well.
I wonder why he's going to do that.
Oh yeah, that's my no. I actually respond to him. He sent me a message saying how am I doing. Oh, you do that to me.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's because Rosie is suicide.
Oh yeah. Do you know? You know someone says something. Hey, did that?
Yes. You make jokes about cutting yourself very often.
And then Charlie did tell the college when I started. So yeah, he actually did know. No, wait. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, maybe.
He did.
You okay?
Yeah,
Yes. You're only 15 minutes. He's sleeping.
It's James Charles here. Return user professional loaner.
Loaner. That's so new. What were you doing?
No, really professional. No.
No,
So bad. It kind of stretches your back out though. It's kind of fun. I can see what you do it.
You're learning. Just exercising your legs.
This is how you work out. Get the big guns.
I am so care about my
I can tell.
That's why I sit in 24%.
Right, that's it. Longer than planned. I'm sure what I was going to walk into then. You two doing some sort of strange yoga was not on the right.
Just copying my.
Mini paper.
You're done.
Well, you done. Amazing.
Got 2 columns left.
Amazing. So remember, we're doing it from the perspective of the employer, the users and the employer as well. So who, once you've delivered that solution over to them, who's going to manage the adding on of the articles? Who's going to manage all of the users? Who's going to manage?
Cheap guy that I've used.
Oh yeah, who was that cheap guy? Was it John? I want to say it was John.
Ah.
Yeah, I think it's John. He's dealing with it. He's
Yeah.
cheap.
Make John do it all.
Yeah, exactly. You're finally getting it.
Yeah.
God, I sound like a capitalist then.
Sound
I'm
like
a socialist. I'm a labourist.
I'm also going to share with you guys. I'll download it and put it into the occupational specialism folder. The user stories. I'm going to save it. Writing good user stories. There you go. So that PDF that I went through, I posted that in the folder with the occupational specialism stuff in there.
I still have your pen on Friday.
Where did the lid go?
I don't know.
Oh, you can keep it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, they were presents for me for a job well done.
I don't.
Fun way to use it now. Looking for a long and cover me. Yeah. This is why I had counselling.
Had.
I need to wait a month before I can really go on this. I don't want to do this now. I've got asthma.
Like 15 minutes to finish your user stories. How are we all doing? Can I, if you haven't already, ask you to save your documents? Just in case anything goes wrong.
I'm done.
You're done? Brilliant. So if you, while we're waiting, if you could go back, just look over your user personas again and your business context.
It's kind of all like you were there for gardening. Did you finally save it? Yeah. Why did I get?
Why not?
You just now need to do the employee side. Employee side. So who's going to write your articles, who's going to manage
Is that just a column added up by the employee?
It's another table. So same table style again, but this time, so you'll be like, as an article writer, I want to be able to add articles to add to this. as an administrator,
This-
I want to be able to manage the users so that I
Yeah.
can.
This is not as bad as a football boot. It's given beta exports.
I'm not done being export, but
I didn't. This is the
it's all about the users. Yeah, otherwise it's great. But till fine, it's left it there for you. Take it. I'm done with it. Let's go over here. It's going.
So would it be different employees?
Fair enough.
How? Okay. Oh Jesus Christ! I'm old. So would that be a paid break?
We paid right.
No. Would it be just the same layout?
Same layout. So, but this time instead of the person who's coming to use your system, it's going to be the people who are going to be operating it. So the people writing the articles, the people managing the users, the people doing the API. Obviously, you're going to develop the software, so it won't be you. But they'll be looking at stats of who's using it, things like that. And don't forget, with your users, you want to cover a range of scenarios. So think about the features that are going to be there. So are people going to want to read articles? So this is the employees. So you've done the users and now you're doing the employees.
What? Personas or just
So this time is the company, so the people who work for Health Advice Group.
what would the title be?
So exactly the same as one before. So you'll have the table with the as a, I want to, so that I. And then you'll have, for example, as a health professional, I want to write an article so that others can learn about the health conditions. And then you might have another one which says, as a health professional, I want to edit an article to update it with new information.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and then you might have, as an administrator, I want to be able to access a list of users so that I can send out passports or send out, you know, and then those sorts of things.
Yeah.
This can feel a bit tedious at times because it feels like you're just basically covering every single path a user might take through it.
Yeah. But that's fine.
So don't forget things like logging in. That's another thing. So as a new user, I want to create an account so that I can save information or track the data. And then you'll have as a returning customer, I want to log in and retrieve my information. So you'll have different paths for new and returning users to your website. You could get lost in an infinite loop with this, so there are lots and lots of things you can track and do.
Oh, well, tough luck. They're only getting 8.
Again,
Actually, no, I'll probably do more. Oh no.
Well, the person we saw earlier, he had distinction. They had about 2 or 3 pages.
And what
just
you
the
employee?
No, not for the employees. The employee was a lot shorter, about 8 of that.
What the whole thing?
For the customers. I'll bring it back on the screen so you can have a look.
Yes, please. I can see this.
Don't get bogged down into word counts. It's not as useful as you think. So here is their customer user story. So you've got a customer with asthma condition, new customer unsure about the safety of their home, booking a risk assessment, returning customer unsure about the safety of their home, book a risk assessment, returning customer unsure about the safety and want to complete another risk assessment. So you've got all different routes there of new customers wanting to do stuff and returning. As a new customer, I want to look at the About Me page. As an elderly customer, I want to look at the policies page. As a computer science student, I want to look at the terms and conditions. Frequent customers, new customers, disabilities. Here's a classic one here. So as a customer with disabilities, I want to access the accessibility panel. As a returning customer, I want to log in. As a new customer, I want to set up an account. As a returning middle-aged customer, I want to check the air quality. Returning teenager, check the weather. A new customer, accept cookies. So these are all, there's only about 3 or 4 things that are happening, but you've got different scenarios for each one. So you've got new, tends to be typically new returning customers. So as a returning customer, I want to enter my symptoms, which you did previously with Georgie November. As a returning customer, I want to reset my password. So there's logging things as well that are being included in this. As a returning customer, I want to look at my report history. So this is where it stops for that. So now it goes into employee. So the employee one is about a page. there are about 3.5 pages for the customers. The whole thing is tricky because it's got stuff in it. So for what we've done so far, they've got 1 page for the business context, and it goes straight into the user stories, which you've done. And then it goes on to the empathy map afterwards, which we're going to go on to in a second. And then it goes into that. We'll cover that tomorrow. But you just want to... no. I'm not sure. Not as in I'm not sure I have the ability. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. But I will check.
Good thing to look at to see how roughly, you know. Or even do like a mock one.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we're moving on in 5 minutes. So generally, obviously, what we're doing so far, have you kind of got an understanding of why we're doing this? Do you get why we're doing this, Ashton? Yeah, so it's basically just, instead of just doing this as a list of features for some software, we're trying to build it all around the user experience. Which means hopefully when we develop it, instead of developing a system that looks beautiful but has got absolutely no functional use to the end user, we built it with the user in mind. Therefore, it should be... Yeah. Happy customer, terrible. Now, I'm hoping we are going to get the fine balance of... Of course you can code well. I disagree. I disagree. Python isn't everything on this one, okay? We're also going to be doing some web languages too. Yep, HTML, CSS, possibly a little bit of JavaScript as well. Excellent. All right, last 3 minutes, you lovely lot, and then we're going to move on very quickly for the last half hour and have a look at empathy maps. And how we can all be empathetic to our users. Oh, that's very common. And you're going to need your personas for this empathy map. Can you remember all the names, Ashton?
I can.
Good. Good.
What character? Senku from Doctor Stone, Tsunade from Naruto, Sylvia from Ashoka Tensei, Nezuko from Demon Slayer, Stao Mao from The Devil's Apartment. One of which is in Big Holes.
I don't know if there's anyone actually that they can something. There are people, but
People don't think that we're 80%.
but there are actually people that can annoy us.
How are people with like healthy?
And so like,
I don't know the health.
half minute.
All right, so one more minute and then we're going to come back together again and have a quick look at empathy mapping.
This will be fun.
Okie dokie, everyone. Right, if I could get you to finish the sentence you're on, and then if you could turn around again so I know you're ready to move on. All right. Okay. Ashton, you're finishing off? Yep, lovely. Ethan, you good to turn around for me, my lovely? Fabulous. Frantically writing his last story. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at empathy maps. Okay, now you can do this as a series of bullet points and a list for each of your user personas, or you can do it in a more visual format. So you might want to do this in like PowerPoint and then export it as an image. There are also apps because obviously you get the internet for this, which I'll show you in a minute to do this. You do? Yeah, you get the internet for this one. But essentially, this is all about how your user is going to be acting and feeling as they navigate your solution. Okay, so for example, say I have got my elderly person who's got asthma who's looking for advice on the weather, so whether they can go out. So says, I wonder what the weather is like today. Says, is this website easy to use? Says, is this website going to have the information I need to do? Says, I really hope this isn't too difficult for me to navigate. So it's all about things I'd be saying. The thinking is, you know, are there better websites I can go to? Is this reliable? You know, will it give me the right information? How will it know my location? How will I know it's safe? Other thoughts. Then you've got does. So it could be clicks around, could be logs in, could be refreshes the page a few times, could be anything that they do while they're on there. And then feeling. So if your page is really laggy and slow, it could be feeling they're frustrated, they can't find the information quickly, or they could be feeling happy because all of the information is on the page. They could be feeling frustrated because the layout is not effective. So you're just trying to gather all of the thoughts and feelings of your user. So this is one way you could present it. So you could have your user in the middle. So I'd have Lily in here. Or you could go back to generics again and not use your personas. You could just say a returning customer who has got asthma. So there's some text in here, but what I thought might be better is seeing like a visual example. So this is an example of Jamie, who is buying a new TV. Okay, so he says, I was expecting something different. What do you think? Where should I start? What brand do you like? What size is best? I want something reliable. Thinks, why is it so hard? Do they think I'm stupid? What's best for me? Yeah. I want something awesome. I'm wasting too much time. What am I missing? Does, checks a website, lists the pros and cons, compares the products, does more research, makes decisions. And then feeling, fearful, inadequate, anxious, excited, unsure who to trust. So it's all about, and this happens to us all the time, when you go on websites, even if you're not really thinking about it, they're going to elicit feelings and you're going to think certain things as you're using them and how they work. So you just need to get that in a table. So this is one way you can do it. So you could go into PowerPoint right now and you could open up a slide, and then you could just do a table with four bits in it. Don't die, Georgie. I know it's a lot of information today. So what you could do is obviously you could just draw some lines on here, and then you could put your user in the middle, and you could kind of create that pattern. I don't know why my ribbon's not sticking down. Stay ribbon. Always show the ribbon. There we go. So I could just draw a series of things like this. Why would it not let me draw another line? Let me draw another line. There we go. So that's one way you could do it. Or you could do it in your Word document. And I'm going to... Where's my example on here? So I could now add a new section on here. I could call it... empathy map. So we're going back to heading 1 again. So, actually, no, it's heading 2 still, isn't it? Heading 2. It's still part of the user part. Yep. So, I could do empathy map. And I could do a table again. So, if I insert a table, I could do a 2x2 table. So, I could say Lily Carpenter. And then I could do says, thinks, does, and feels, and do it like that. That's another option. I know you guys are getting stuck in. If I could just borrow you for 30 more seconds before you get far too excited by this. So that's another way you could do it. Or you could just do it as a list of bullet points. You could say Lily Carpenter says, and then you could just do bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. Another thing you can do if you want to, if I go onto the internet quickly, let's bring this out again. You could use a website like Miro, which has a lot of these templates built in. I'm going to sign in with my continue to sign up. Board has been duplicated. Oh. So you could use a template in something like this. You just create an account. That's a good point. I would probably create an account in advance if you're going to use this, and just remember your login.
Is that allowed?
Yeah.
So that means I can access it from home. There is a way around this.
Yes, possibly. And then if you search in here for empathy map, there should be, oh sorry, in the sections, there should be somewhere you can find boards. It's been a while since I've used this. But there are templates on here. So if I go onto this empathy map, and then you can obviously do that with sticky notes. You could also use Microsoft Whiteboard for this with the sticky notes. So if I go to whiteboard.office.com, there's basically a myriad of ways you can do this, depending on whether you want to do it more visually or not. So I could do a new whiteboard. I could, and actually no, this might have it on here, empathy. There you go, it's got empathy map on it. So there's already one in Microsoft Whiteboard. So there's one in there. This possibly a little bit overkill. That is very random. Let's just quickly show you what the example person did in theirs. So they did theirs as a series of bullet points. Okay, so they just said the customer thinks, says, and does. So they say, how do I book a risk assessment? I hope this website is trustworthy. I really want to register. Why isn't this opening? I forgot my password, blah, blah. Says these, does this, feels this, yeah? Employees and the owner as well. So don't forget to do the employees as well, the people who are going to be actually maintaining your solution, okay? but just one overview. So this person did only do the customers as a general. I would do one per persona personally, but it's up to you. Why indeed? They have the same 20 hours as you. So, but what you want to do is think about all the different things they're going to be going to look for. So they might be coming just to check the weather. They might be coming to create an account. They might be coming to do the air quality. They might be coming to read your articles. They might be coming just because they want to book a risk assessment. They might be coming because someone recommended it. But some of them are going to want to create an account. Some of them aren't. Some of them are going to be a bit nervous about using it. Some of them will be really proficient with technology. Some of them less so. So you want to go through all of those different thoughts and feelings that your users are going to have, okay? So you can, like I said, you can do it as a PowerPoint. You could do it as a series of bullet points. You could do it using a Miro app or the whiteboard. It's entirely up to you. But you want to make sure you cover your personas, or at the very least your customers as a whole if you want to, and also the people who are going to be using your solution, okay? So the ones who are going to be maintaining it, checking keeping the users ordered and adding articles and updating it where necessary. Does that make sense?
Can you just send over that website to me, please?
Miro,
Yeah.
M-I-R-O.
Let's see, but I'm allowed, my brain let me spell it.
M-I-R-O. Miro. So I'll leave this one on the board, which is what the student did. Exactly. Why won't this let me zoom in?
I don't have one. Can I just use it? Yeah.
Jam. Yeah. Zoom in a bit more. So there are 4 categories for this. That's really annoying. I thought that would keep it in there. So there are 4 things. So it's thinks, says, feels, does, and feels. Okay. So just imagine, this is kind of very much an imagination task. Imagine they are on your website now using it. What are they going to be feeling? If it's the first time they've been on there, if they are a returning user, what are they going to be feeling? Yeah, and that's all you need to do. Is just put that either in a series of bullet points or, as Georgie is doing, as a more visual method. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to let the other group go, and then I will be back.
Okay. What about my team? Georgie?
No, I can see. Yeah.
Okay.
Jobs, that's the one.
So yeah, this one's yeah. Legit the textbook from Mum last time. He looks so old.
Yeah, he does to me. Little sausage.
He looks so traumatized in that picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Apart from Ronan.
It's Rosie your family.
Well, she is now.
And the ads.
Burn Raptor.
Burn Raptor. That's what they say.
I'm actually trying to set up Viral. So
Yeah, that's really smart because then, as you can log in from home, you can basically do this at home and then log in during the exam. Just
They will more than likely.
no, if it's this, we
well, if it's only
can,
one person, then they'll just be sitting at the desk.
and it's you're most likely going to be Jenny.
And I'm going to be sitting over there in that corner. She can't just sit.
And also we can actually, when it's this task, I can do that.
But you can access the internet. You can't work from home. This is the way around it. Because technically you're not working from home. You're just using online resources.
Yeah, I don't know what I
I
should
doubt
put.
they'll let you log in.
That means I can do this with code. I can find some online notepad, copy and paste code.
You can access the internet just fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll see you. what we know. What to do what.
Big girl blocks and games.
How to code made by scratch.
Like, I want to keep it. Like, not really.
And
What?
even like
See that I can be like. It's just kind of
Yes.
It says, tell us about the team. What do I put? I'm signing up. That wasn't easy.
Oh, I see.
But then,
Let's make something up. You can do it also with software developers. You make stuff. Oh, lovely little template you've knocked up there. What method are you going to go for, Ashton?
Probably this.
The bullet point is good idea. Customer is always right,
what should I
apart
put?
from when they're wrong.
For if you work in retail.
Oh, where you work in retail, they need to
Can
pretend.
I just put?
Yeah, well, Yuki.
They asked
Yeah,
me what
bless
kind of
Have you heard from Tyler? Do you know if he's getting on all right? And did he survive yesterday afternoon?
Well,
You survived it. Good. Good, good,
Can I
good.
just put teacher / student?
Yeah, that's fine.
No, it's my first time to do education. Yeah, what's your role?
We've only got to do this once. How are you feeling right now? What are your thoughts as you're going through this process?
I want to cry.
There you go. So you think about that when you're designing your software. How to make it as pain-free for the person. Like with sign-ups, I know now with some of the captures you have to like rotate pictures and do all sorts to try and actually register for an account because the bots are getting smarter.
Asking for
I
the
complain
company
about
size,
two-factor
even though I put a
authentication.
student.
Can I
What do
just
I
like
say?
vent
Wait,
about
what?
two-factor
It's a
authentication?
company size.
Why is it?
100? About 100 people in there? Just make it up. Doesn't matter.
I cannot use my teacher.
Right, I'm going to finish my live stream now. Not that anyone was on there, but they might watch it back later. Hey, you guys might want to listen back and hear yourselves talking.
Yeah.
Did you have it on like whilst I was?
Yeah, I've not turned it off. Oh, I did during break time. When you were here at break, there was nothing in here. All right. Hopefully, you people at home have caught up and enjoyed our witterings.